My name is Camila. I am 32 years old, and for 7 years I believed I had a peaceful, happy marriage. My husband, Steve, is 34. We live together in a small, quiet house, nothing fancy, but full of warmth. Every evening we had dinner together. We talked about our day, we laughed about small things, and we sometimes argued about silly ones. Steve always remembered my birthday. He always bought me flowers, even when money was tight. I used to think that our marriage was the safest place in my life, a place where nothing could hurt me. Steve worked in an office in the city. He was gentle, polite, and he usually came home on time. I trusted him completely. I trusted our life. But then, slowly, very slowly, something began to change. About 6 months ago, Steve started saying the same sentence again and again. Camila, I'm sorry. I have to work late. The first few times, I believed him. He looked tired, stressed, and busy. I wanted to be a supportive wife. I didn't know that those simple words, I have to work late, were the beginning of the storm that would break my heart. I didn't know that the man I loved was slowly becoming a stranger. Our daily life used to be simple, almost predictable, in a comforting way. Every morning I cleaned the house, washed the clothes, and planned what to cook for dinner. I enjoyed taking care of our home. It made me feel peaceful, like I was building something warm for the two of us. While I worked around the house, I always imagined the moment Steve would walk through the door. That was my favorite part of the day, when we sat down together, shared dinner, and talked before going to bed. Those conversations felt like small treasures. They reminded me how connected we were. We were not rich. We didn't travel or buy expensive things. But we had love. Or at least, I believed we did. We rarely argued, and when we did, it was about little things, nothing serious. Steve liked listening to my stories about neighbors or funny things I saw online. I liked hearing about his work, even when he sounded tired. But then, a few months ago, something changed quietly. Steve began coming home late, first once a week, then twice, then almost every night. I tried to stay calm. I kept telling myself, it's just work. He loves me. He has never given me a reason to doubt him. Still, every night I waited alone at the dinner table, a small crack was forming in the quiet life I once loved. One Thursday afternoon, I was doing the laundry as usual. I picked up Steve's coat from the chair, and immediately I felt something heavy inside the pocket. I thought it might be keys or coins. But when I reached in, I pulled out a folded receipt. At first, I didn't think much of it. But then I saw the name printed at the top. Grand Hotel. My heart began to pound so loudly I could hear it in my ears. I told myself, maybe it was a work meeting. Maybe it was nothing. But as I unfolded the paper, the truth came slowly, painfully. 1 room. 2 dinners. 2 glasses of wine. The date was last Wednesday, the exact night he told me, I have to stay late at the office. I stood in the middle of the laundry room, holding that small piece of paper like it weighed 1,000 pounds. My hands began to shake. My stomach felt sick. I read the receipt again, hoping I misunderstood it, hoping there was another explanation. But there wasn't. That night, when Steve came home, I acted normal. I cooked dinner. I smiled. I waited. I needed more than a receipt, I needed the truth. When he finally fell asleep, I reached for his phone. The password was still our wedding date. That hurt almost as much as what I was about to see. I opened his messages. There she was. Emily. Message after message. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. Last Wednesday was amazing. My heart shattered. Last Wednesday, the hotel, the lies. The man I loved was giving his heart to someone else. I stayed up the whole night crying, holding his phone like a weapon that had just killed the life I knew. The next morning, he saw my face and froze. Camila, what's wrong? I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I simply slid the hotel receipt across the table. His face turned pale. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Who is Emily? I asked. He put his head in his hands. Camila. I can explain. No. You explain nothing. You lied. You cheated. You broke everything. He whispered. I was bored, stuck. She was exciting. It meant nothing. Nothing. All those messages, the hotel, the love he wrote to her. Nothing. My chest burned. You told her you loved her. He stayed silent. Get out, I said. He begged, he cried, but I was already gone inside. Finally, he picked up his coat and walked out the door. And in that moment, I realized. The man I loved had left long before I told him to go. After Steve walked out of the house, silence swallowed everything. I sat on the kitchen floor for hours, the cold tiles against my skin, the receipt still on the table like a knife left in my heart. That night, I didn't sleep. The next night, I didn't eat. For days, I felt like a ghost drifting through an empty home. Suddenly the house that once felt warm, felt too big. Too quiet. Too lonely. I felt small inside it, like I was shrinking a little more every morning I woke up without him. Every night I replayed everything in my mind, our dinners, our laughs, the way he used to touch my face. And I kept asking myself the question that hurts more than betrayal itself. What did I do wrong? Steve texted me every day. I ended it with Emily. I'm sorry. Please talk to me. But I couldn't. My hands would freeze every time I saw his name. I felt torn between the woman who hated him and the woman who desperately missed him. One Saturday, I went to the supermarket to buy milk. My eyes were tired, my heart even more exhausted. Then I heard a voice behind me. Camila. I turned around. It was Steve. He looked thinner, older, guilt had carved deep shadows under his eyes. How are you? He asked softly. I'm okay, I lied. We stood in silence, husband and wife, yet strangers. Then he said, almost whispering. Can we talk? Not about us. Just talk. Like we used to. I should have walked away. But something in his voice, broken, familiar, made me stay. We talked for an hour. Not about the affair, not about pain. We talked about his work, my cooking orders, Jamie's school. And for a moment, I felt something warm inside me. Not forgiveness. Not trust. But memory. I hate what he did, I told myself. But God. I missed the man I married. After that day, we began to talk again, slowly, carefully. he never pushed. I never promised anything. He told me about his fears, how he felt lost, how he hated himself for what he did. I told him about the nights I couldn't breathe because the betrayal hurt so much. And slowly, conversation by conversation, we began to rebuild something. Not what we had. Something new. Then one evening, during a phone call, he asked, "Camila, can I come home?" My heart tightened. Fear whispered, "What if he does it again?" Strength whispered, "You can live without him now." And I said, "I can live without you, but I still believe we can fix this, together." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't forgetting. It was the first real step forward. When Steve finally came home, nothing felt magical or easy. There was no dramatic kiss, no perfect reunion, no sudden healing. Just two wounded people standing in the doorway, unsure but willing. I told him clearly, my voice shaking, but firm. "If you come back, it's not for comfort. It's for work. Real work." I laid down the boundaries. He had to be honest about everything, where he was, who he talked to, how he felt. We would go to marriage counseling together. He had to understand that my love was not automatic anymore. He had to earn back what he broke. And to my surprise, he didn't argue. He nodded, almost relieved, and said, "Whatever it takes, Camila. I won't waste this second chance." The first weeks were strange. He updated me on his day, texted me when he arrived somewhere, even told me when he felt sad or insecure. Not because I demanded control, but because he wanted to rebuild trust one tiny brick at a time. We started talking again, not as a perfect couple, but as two people trying to understand each other. We learned how to argue without destroying each other. We learned how to listen without fear. And we learned that healing doesn't hide scars. It makes them part of the story. My heart still hurt. Some nights I still cried. But now, his arms were there, not to erase the pain, but to hold me through it. And I realized something. Forgiveness is not saying, "It didn't matter." Forgiveness is saying, "It mattered, but I choose to live again." I didn't choose Steve because I was weak. I chose to forgive because I was finally strong. Looking back now, I finally understand something I could never see when my heart was breaking. Loneliness inside a marriage is the loudest kind of pain. You can sleep in the same bed, eat at the same table, smile in the same house, and still feel completely invisible. For a long time, I thought love was about patience and silence. I thought being a good wife meant staying quiet, trusting blindly, and never complaining. But the truth is different. Sometimes love means rebuilding what was broken, piece by piece. Not pretending everything is fine. Not ignoring the hurt. But choosing to heal it, slowly, honestly, with both hearts involved. Forgiveness took time. It took tears. It took fear. But forgiving did not make me weak. It made me stronger. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is choosing peace over poison. I learned that a relationship fails when one person stops trying. But it heals when both decide to try again. Today, I am not the same Camila who waited quietly at home. I am a woman who knows her worth. A woman strong enough to walk away if needed. And strong enough to stay, when the staying is healthy and chosen. This is not a perfect love story. It is a real one. If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for learning English through stories with me. I hope to see you in the next video.